Hi there. Thanks for stopping by. My name is Cyberpunk, and welcome to the Matrix. People have been telling stories since forever, and stories about heroes are as old as they come. Pretty much every culture has hero stories, and while they're all obviously different, they all have similar themes. The hero, that embodies what is good, takes on and defeats the big bad, which embodies everything bad and evil. Today, I wanted to take a look at a few different kinds of heroes and stories, and talk about what it says about our beliefs in general as people, and which, if any, are going to come save us from our own problems. And a quick disclaimer, I talk about these stories, and there's some spoilers. If you'd rather experience them for yourself first, do so, then come back and watch this. I grew up with telenovelas playing on the TV, and these all have basically the same story beats. A poor lady falls in love with a handsome rich guy that sweeps her off her feet, with plenty of spicy drama in between.
I want you to sound like you're in one of those novelas.
Who is it?
It's Ricardo.
Did you bring a pistola?
This is the basic plot of the Cinderella story, and it goes back forever. The oldest version of Cinderella I could find goes back to the year 7 BCE, and it's probably even older than that. I think there's a good reason this kind of story has had that legendary staying power of over 2,000 years up through today. For most of human history, the concept of social mobility just wasn't really a thing. Generally speaking, in most times and places, if you were born poor, you tended to stay poor your entire life. Means to escape poverty, like education and workplace promotions, have traditionally been mainly for the wealthy, with the means to afford them in the first place. For a lot of poor people, charming a rich royal was the only realistic shot they had of improving their own lives. This is what happens in Cinderella, when she catches the attention of Prince Charming. They get married, and Cinderella goes off to live in the royal castle, and they live happily ever after. These stories can serve as a kind of comforting escape, or like a someday that'll be me kind of thing. A way to keep the hope alive. Now, are there actually lower income people that marry into rich families and it all just works out? Yeah, I'm sure there's gotta be plenty out there. Though, as far as heroes go, a Prince Charming probably isn't coming to solve my problems, or your problems anytime soon. Let's take a look at some other kinds of heroes, and see if any are more consistently able to solve our problems. Even from a really early age, I remember watching movies and being able to tell quickly who's the good guy that we're supposed to be rooting for. In many popular movies, the good guy is usually also the hero, and their stories tend to follow the pattern of the hero's journey. There's been a lot said about this on YouTube already, so I don't feel that I need to go into much detail here. Basically, in the hero's journey, the world is saved by one particular gifted person. Through the journey, the hero learns about themselves and uses their new skills to defeat the big bad in a dramatic showdown at the end. Chances are, a lot of stories you like follow this structure. My two personal favorites would be Harry Potter and The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. There's a lot to like about these stories, and there's usually quite a bit to take away from them. In both Zelda and Harry Potter, for example, what sets the hero apart and lets them achieve great things, at least according to the narrative, is mainly their ability to be courageous and brave when faced with dangerous enemies. With that being said, in terms of these stories being a reflection of real-life heroes, there's one particular aspect where I think they fall short. It's the idea that the hero is usually also the chosen one. This means that the hero is specifically different from everyone else, right from the very beginning. The idea that the hero has to also be the chosen one is so common that the reveal tends to be an important part in the story, where the audience learns that the protagonist is, without a doubt, the real deal.
a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
A wizard.
Being the chosen one also means that the hero has some kind of ability that lets them win when anyone else would have been defeated. In Yu-Gi-Oh!, Yugi and his friends constantly credit the power of friendship as the reason he's able to win duels, even though Yugi has the Millennium Puzzle, which deadass lets him cheat his way to victory.
俺の番だな。
なんだとふざけんな。貴様最初から仕組んでいたな。
ダイヤのエース。俺の勝ちだ。
This kind of failsafe is pretty common for heroes. Magic prevents a 1-year-old Harry from being killed by Voldemort's curse that would have killed anyone else. Now, let's compare that to real-world heroes. It goes without saying that most of us don't have fantastical, supernatural origin stories. And while we're all good at different things, it's not like we have plot armor that prevents us from ever losing. And then there's people like me that are just kind of mediocre at everything.
I don't even have any good skills.
So, could a chosen one on a hero's journey be the hero we're looking for? Well, we're definitely getting a lot closer. Even if we're not the chosen one ourselves, there's usually good things we can take away from these stories and apply them to our own lives. Which leads into the last kind of hero I want to talk about. Now, let's say a story is waiting for the chosen one to come along and use their powers to defeat the big bad. They hold out for a hero, but the hero never comes. What are the regular people to do? Well, they can try to take on the big bad by themselves. Or, even better yet, prevent the big bad from ever becoming powerful in the first place. In this last case, there's no more heroes in the Hollywood sense, because normal-ass people just solve the problem. What's that? A superhero stopped a train from going off the rails and crashing? That's great. Good job. Now, what if the city government just invested money into improving its infrastructure? That solved the problem with less risk and way more consistency. You could even use this example to argue that superheroes are counterproductive, since they don't leave much reason for regular people to try and save the day themselves. The trope of holding out for a hero isn't as common as the hero's journey, but you do see the idea explored in fiction every now and then. And when you do, the writing has a tendency to do a 180 by introducing some catch later on, where the heroes are actually needed after all, which makes sense. If writers took the concept of holding out for a hero to its fullest extent, the world would be peaceful, and there wouldn't be any more story to tell. I assume this doesn't ever happen because storytellers want to explore the idea without writing themselves out of a job. This did kind of happen once in Britain in the year 1930, when the British Broadcasting Company's news announcer said, "There is no news," and played piano music for the rest of the segment. This is awesome, but good luck keeping your job if you make a habit of doing that kind of thing. In the 3rd century BCE, Chinese philosopher Chuang-Tzu wrote 2 short stories that I think make this point well. The story, The Hat Salesman and Capable Ruler, describes the perfect ruler of China, and when he returns from a trip, finds that his job as the ruler isn't necessary anymore, since he taught the people how to manage everything on their own. What follows would be a peaceful world without trouble, which Chuang-Tzu describes in the short story, When Life Was Full, There Was No History. The story describes a world where people are simple, honest, and just kind of vibe. They wouldn't have made any history to speak of, because there wouldn't be anything that interesting that happened. A story like this, I admit, isn't very exciting, but I argue it can be more inspiring than a hero story. After all, isn't that a world that everyone would like to work towards to make a reality? One where everyone has a part to play, and everyone goes about their business without problems, suffering, or conflict with others. I bet even many heroes that like doing heroic things probably wouldn't mind living that kind of life either.
How many many times you save the world, it always manages to get back in jeopardy again. I mean, sometimes I just want it to stay saved, you know, for a little bit. I feel like the maid. I just cleaned up this mess. Can we keep it clean for 10 minutes?
Yeah, you get to that point.
In my regulations video, I talked about the origins of the Amber Alert. Of all places, it started with a massage therapist, Diane Simone, talking with her client on the job.
And then one day, my dear friend and client, the late Reverend Tom Stoker, came to my office and listened very patiently as I described one of my first ideas, which was a voluntary cell phone system. And then Tom uttered the magic words. He said, "What about the radio?" The light went on. I said, "Wow, Tom, do you think they would do it?" He said, "Well, they do it for civil defense and things like that. Why not this?" Oh, I must have asked him a dozen questions. Who do you know? Who should I call? What should I say? At which point, Tom said, "That's all up to you." And then he very graciously reminded me he had come to the office for therapy on a painful neck and shoulder issue, not to brainstorm with me about my ideas.
As a direct result, thousands of children have been saved from abductions. And it didn't start with someone that had any special powers or a fantastical origin story. Just someone paying attention to what's going on around them that had a good idea to help and followed through with it. There's a lot of heroes in our everyday lives, like doctors, nurses, and teachers. They use the skills they've developed throughout their careers to make a difference in the lives of others. And even if you're not a public servant or someone like that, you can still be a hero in other ways. Helping even just one person can make all the difference. You never know how much your actions can affect someone else. So, who exactly will come save us? Who's the hero we're all waiting for? Go look in the mirror and you'll see. Or, better yet, I'll just turn off the video track so you can see yourself in the screen reflection. Hey, looking great there, champ. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. You're awesome. If you'd like to help me make more videos like this one and reach more people, leave a like and a comment with your thoughts. I could have touched on thousands of different stories, potentially, but opted to just stick to what I'd already seen. I'd be really curious to hear about all the different hero stories that I might not even know about. If you'd like to watch my videos as soon as they come out, you can subscribe, and follow me on Twitter for updates. Take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you later.